recognise him with the beard and the moustache, Giuseppe. It's when I first saw him.
Yeah. Hi, I'm from Sultan Romania, Nemo.
Hello there. Bear with us, everyone. We're waiting for one more minute. There's a couple of people just joining the through the lobby, so we'll kick off very soon. Thank you.
Wojciech is restarting his computer because he was unable to join us, so the more drastic step was to restart.
As always, I think everyone will relate to this who's with us today. You know, working from home brings some rewards, but also some challenges, and bandwidth is sometimes a challenge for all of our IT systems. Well, while Wojciech is joining, let me just kick off by saying good afternoon to all of our media friends from Romania. Thanks for joining us for this latest briefing about our European-built Blackhawk proposal for Romania. Normally, by this stage of any campaign, we would have welcomed most of you to our Blackhawk manufacturing facility in Mielec, which is in southeast Poland, as I'm sure you know. But for now, because of COVID and the travel restrictions that we all face, we're unable to do that. So we can't take you to the facility, and we'll do our best, and we are doing our best to bring the facility to you, and more accurately, its people. We've previously talked about the detail of our proposal to supply Blackhawk utility helicopters built in our European facility in Poland to Romania. Our proposal meets the needs of the Romanian Ministry of Interior in terms of the number of aircraft we've offered, the ability to deliver within budget, the technical capabilities and the specifications of the aircraft, and our ability to deliver on time in terms of delivery timescales. And we've also partnered with Romanian companies like Romero and DeltaMed to help us support the proposal. We've spoken about the strength of purchasing Blackhawk helicopters from a regional neighbour, Poland, that has strong links with Romanian defence as well as politically, and the added value that PZL Mielec brings by being a long-established European manufacturer of aircraft, which is now part of the Lockheed Martin family, which provides us with a unique opportunity to offer Romanian businesses with whom we partner the ability to become part of a truly global supply chain for one of the world's biggest aerospace and defence companies. Today, though, we're shifting our focus. We're going to talk about Blackhawk from a very different perspective, and it's one that's through the eyes of people who fly it. I'm very pleased to say that two of our senior pilots from our PZL Mielec facility are joining us today because there we don't just build helicopters, but we test them and we develop product enhancements too. And our briefing today will be from two of my colleagues, Leszek Pawula, who's one of the most experienced test pilots in Poland, and great to have him as part of the PZL Mielec and Lockheed Martin team. And his colleague Wojciech Romanchuk, who's a production test pilot at Mielec and one of the most experienced Army and Special Forces helicopter pilots in Poland. Leszek and Wojciech will speak for about 20 minutes, after which we'll have lots of time for questions because we want to make this an interactive forum. So give you as much opportunity to ask whatever questions you have in your minds about Blackhawk and its suitability for Romania from an operational perspective. You can ask your questions in a couple of ways. Raise your hand and ask the questions using the video facility, or if you feel a little bit nervous about doing that or uncomfortable, please tap out your question in the chat box and we'll put the questions to our two pilot friends. I'll be quiet for now, give Leszek and Wojciech a chance to speak. For now, it's my great pleasure to hand over to you, Leszek, and welcome you to this media forum today.
Okay, thank you. Hello. Again, my name is Leszek Pawula. I'm PZL Mielec chief pilot. I have been working for Polish companies producing helicopters for the last 33 years. I was flying all helicopter types produced in Poland, and all their military or civil version and variants. I flew also East aircraft or West aircraft, I mean West Europe or American like Bell and smaller So my job during this time was to test the aircraft, but not only, and but also experience in performing firefighting and rescue, especially mountain rescue. So that's my background. My job changed here in Mielec a little bit from time when I joined to Mielec more than 10 years ago. In the meantime, we are not only testing the green version, we are doing also the customizing version for the customer, the specific version prepared and modernized for customer needs that require also to do the extended test of the new version. So this is also our job. Wojciech, are you online? Wojciech is also experienced pilot coming from military with a strong military background. With the special operations. So maybe Wojciech will tell a few words about introduce himself before I go further.
Hello, sorry, I have technical problem with my connection. Some words about me. My name is Wojciech Romańczuk. I'm PCL Mielec S70 Blackhawk test pilot. I'm former Special Forces pilot, and I'm graduated from Air Force Academy in Dublin in 1996. I took part in some military missions like Iraq mission and Chad mission. And additionally, I have experience in firefighting flights in Spain. And I fly in Tatra mountain rescue team. My aviation experience is 3,500 hours in helicopters like Mi-8, Mi-2, Mi-17, W3 Falcon, Robinson 44, Airbus S355, and S70 Blackhawk, of course. What's more, I have family. I have wife and 3 sons. Two of them are just airline pilots as well.
So the aviation family.
So aviation family.
Okay, so you can see also the rest of our team, to other guys. So to summarize our introduction, in general, our team comes from slightly different areas of aviation. Okay, it's from slightly different aviation sides, but in total, we have great experience in all major helicopter operations can be performed by the helicopters, like search and rescue over land, sea, mountain, firefighting, special operations, the Ministry of Interior's operation. This is our background. And when we completed our team, we agreed, every of us, that this is the best helicopter we have ever flown. That's the first thing I have to say. So for the beginning, maybe that short story about illustrating what is the impression of the pilot who fly for the first time on the 70. It's our procedure to give the check ride to the pilot who is candidate to join to our team. We never just rely on the papers of the recommendations, written or spoken. We want to fly with this pilot to check him before we invite him to be part of our team. So I was the first, so I had to go to US, but my colleagues, the next pilots, I gave them the evaluation flight. And the scenario was always the same. First, I gave them the chance to fly the helicopter, and I evaluated how is their pilot skills. When they are flying on the helicopter, they don't know. But when this part was completed, I took always control and demonstrated them few maneuvers, not very extreme to the maximum, but something quite aggressive maneuvers. And the comments after I received from them, it was always the same, more or less something like that. Like if we were flying the different type of helicopter, we would be dead 3 times already. That was their comment. So that's the first impression of the pilot flying Blackhawk for the first time. But we were not invited here to tell you how we feel happy flying with this helicopter, but to tell you a little bit about what are the S70 advantages seen from the pilot's perspective and being source of Peacedale-made S70 competitive superiority, I would say. Of course, the helicopter is very modern, but all nowadays produced helicopters are modern, equipped with a lot of electronically, glass cockpit, etc. Maybe we'll talk about it later, but I would like to focus on 2 areas at the moment, which I think they are very noticeable to every pilot beginning to flight on this helicopter. This is the military roots of S70 design and his great versatility. So as regards the military roots, I would start from the statement that not many utility, or if you prefer, multi-purpose helicopters are designed as a military product from the very first step of the design process. Roots of design of S70 produced in Poland are strictly military. This brings its consequences because military way of designing rotorcraft is much more demanding than civil regulations. The example, one of the many, is if you look at the requirements of the military regulations about the egress of the evacuation from the aircraft when something bad happened. So military requirement is to allow every person on board to evacuate in 30 seconds when half of the doors and the windows in the design are not available. So half of the doors available and 30 seconds. The civil requirement is 90 seconds with all existing doors and exits available. That gives you a picture about how different are military and civil requirements. When we are talking about the military roots of S70, I would like to focus on 3 aspects, which are consequences of the legacy of the military origin of this aircraft. The first aspect is the strength of the structure, of the aircraft structure. The second is the aircraft limitations, which are very important for the pilots. And the third aspect is the aircraft redundancy. I will explain if you don't know the meaning of the word later. So the strength of the aircraft structure. Structure of S70 is much stronger than other generally civilian designs and customized to military versions. Even if this customized to military operation aircraft finally pass the military certification, which is possible, I say that 70 can lift much more weight as a cargo internally or externally on the hook, up to more than 4,000 kilograms, more weight than other aircraft equipped, let's say, with the same level of power engine, equipped with the engine of the same power available level, but designed as an only military variant of generally civil aircraft. That's something we may prove on the numbers. Second aspect, that's aircraft limitations. That's something very important to the pilot, as I mentioned before, because the pilot is responsible to not exceed the limitations, technical limitations. So all essential parameters maintained during the typical S70 mission, I mean with 70 heavy and configured to typical mission, will be way below the recommended limits. It means a pilot doesn't have to worry about exceeding any technical limits. It refers to all essential parameters such as the power, the aerodynamical limitations. Example, landing on slopes. That's in the terrain. This helicopter is allowed to land on the slopes of 15 degrees, nose up, or right or left side up, versus civil requirement, which requires only from the civil aircraft 7 degrees. That's 50 degrees, it's a lot. I would say also the commenting the aerodynamical limitation that it's very wind tolerant. So what does it mean? It does not afraid of the wind. This is especially important when we are maneuvering close to the ground, doing some rescue missions or humanitarian missions. When wind is still strong after hurricane, for example, let's call the Katrina hurricane in 2005 in New Orleans, US. One of the first helicopter aircraft able to help people was the Blackhawk. So this aircraft, can maneuver regardless of the wind direction. It's very brave, I would say. But we are talking about the limitation. I would also like to focus on the mechanical limitations. If you can skip to the next slide, you can see, that's what I was looking for. Look at this non-comparable to any of the competitors' shock absorber in the yellow frame. This is the main landing gear shock absorber. It starts where you can see the landing wheel, and it ends on the level of the cabin roof. It's about 2 meters long, 2 stages, extremely strong. And it is able to absorb so much energy that it protects aircraft against damage even during extremely brutal landing. Again, military requirement, 9 meters per second. It is very fast. This landing gear system has to absorb and allow to touch down without any aircraft damage. 9 meters per second, more than, versus civil requirements, less than 5 meters per second, 1.8 if I remember good. That's also illustrates the difference. Sorry, my camera has moved. I notice. Yeah, so talking about the landings, that's important for some kind of missions, because during landings, pilot is not forced to stop aircraft to exact hover and then gently touch down to the ground. He may do it very brutal even, let's say. That's due to strong main landing gears, and also due to configuration with tail wheel installed instead of nose wheel, what is the most popular solution in the helicopter this class. So if you want to understand what is the difference, that is simple difference, but next time you will be walking on the forest, take the stick and keep one hand in his hand and try to push it in front of you when you are walking. And then you try to trail it, to pull it after you. So you'll feel the difference, what is the landing in the unprepared terrain when you have to do it quickly. So when time of operation is priority and not to perform it gently, this design will help you to do it very quickly with big impact, but still very safe. So what I can say about the limitations, that is really difficult to push this aircraft into its limits. Yeah, when we are flying the mission. The third aspect is the aircraft redundancy. Redundancy is the English word used in our word, aviation word, to describe how good is the helicopter with managing the malfunctions if they happen. So higher redundancy if you have more backup systems which are implemented into aircraft design to reserve primary systems if they fail. So this redundancy of this aircraft is really high. Again, much higher than civil designs. I can mention that where normally is required to have doubled some systems because of the safety, we have some systems tripled, or even we have more options available than 3 only on some system. All very basic and important, like electric, hydraulic, and those fundamental for the aircraft safety. This is also a result of military legacy of military design of this aircraft. To finalize the aspect of military design, I would say that there is an advertising slogan often used to promote our aircraft. It says, this aircraft brings people home everywhere, every time. It means that whatever bad happened to this helicopter during his mission, he will always back safe to the safe place on the ground or to the home base. What can I say more? This aircraft makes me feeling safe whenever I fly, and this is not just the slogan, it's the proven fact, proven by millions of flight hours flown by, I think, more than 4,500 produced Blackhawk already, operated in dozen countries in the most difficult and dangerous conditions. That's my summary of the military heritage. Now I'll give the space for Wojtek to continue the next slide, comment. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, but I have still problem with my connection. Is the organizing me, so I would like to tell you about S-70 Blackhawk from my perspective. As I mentioned before, I'm former Special Forces pilot, so I look at 70 Blackhawk from slightly wider perspective. Military personnel usually say about Blackhawks many missions, but just one helicopter. In my opinion, it's really true. The aircraft can be very easily and very short time transformed from one mission to other much different mission. As you can see in the presentation, it can be used for missions like personnel or cargo transportation, medevac evacuation mission, search and rescue mission, external cargo mission, firefighting mission, air assault support as armored version helicopter, and any, as Leszek said, any other humanitarian and natural disaster missions. I mean, for instance, if you are a military commander or civilian aviation operator and you have S-70 helicopters in your fleet, it means you have an aircraft for all kinds of mission, and in sudden and unexpected situation, it is very easy to make quick reconfiguration and to give adequate response. The funny proverb says, "Jack of all trade, master for none." What means if something is for everything, it's for nothing. But not in this case. S-70 aircraft is like a chameleon lizard. Can be very quickly changed and adapted to exact situation. And what is the most important, this aircraft is still one of the best in this class, in this dedicated mission. Can easily compete with other aircraft which are specialized with only one specific mission. What does it mean? Let's look on several common missions which S-70 can execute. So well, a strictly specialized aircraft. Let's say S-70 may stay configured for simple personnel or cargo transportation at the morning. And then after several hours afternoon, it can be perform medical evacuation, for instance, with stretcher system installed in the cabin. Cabin is just ready to do that. The next day it can become heavy cargo lifter, for instance. It may lift external cargo so heavy like 9,000 pounds, so it's 4,080 kilograms. So it's a really huge way. The same Easy S-70 can be transformed into very effective firefighting, capable to drop 3, even 4,000 liters of water from Bambi bucket connected to cargo hook. What more? Additionally, for firefighting, additionally, it has auto relay system just ready now in case of engine flame out due to lack of oxygen in fire area. What about picture and you can see search and rescue? This aircraft is all the time equipped with weather radar, hoist, and flight director. All these things make S-70 always ready to perform search and rescue mission. For instance, flight director helps a lot the pilot to perform this mission because it's compromised several predefined search and rescue flight profiles, which can be executed automatically. So the aircraft will fly along earlier programmed search pattern. Additionally, this flight director has unique, we can say, mark on top function, which allows to execute fully automatic approach to survivor found in the sea. For instance, if you see the survivor in the sea, it's very easy to lose him. So if you just see him, just push the button, mark on top, and without touching flight controls, helicopter go around and come back to hover into the wind and hover over the survivor, ready to rescue. That's excellent. As Leszek said before, S-70 Blackhawk is military design. I totally agree, but I'd like to add one thing that is quite easy, maintainable in remote area, and it has field equipment like stars, platforms, and construction, and huge advantage of design to be transported by aircraft C-130 in support to other nations, for instance. So it was designed totally, during designing this aircraft, everybody was taken into consideration, all elements. What can be more? Okay, yes, for example, you have untypical situation and imagine your soldiers are in trouble and they need air assault support. So you can transfer your S-70 as a powerful air assault mission helicopter, weaponized with guided missiles, unguided rockets, cannon and guns installed on external wings, and additionally can be installed in both side cabin door. On external wings, S-70 can carry approximately 2,500 kilograms of weapon. So it is similar with attack helicopter, but
Like Apache.
Yeah, like Apache or other helicopters, but we still have place inside in case we need to pick up our soldiers from very hot spot. I believe you will never need air assault support, but in case you have S-70 Blackhawk ready to use it for that. As a conclusion, so I would like to say, in my opinion, such easy like chameleon lizards, the lizard, that can change his skin color. S-70 helicopter can adopt to various missions, and it's very good in each of this mission. But after all, what I love the most in the aircraft is level of safety it represents. If, for instance, if I have been flying S-70 Blackhawk in Iraq or in Chad mission, or even in firefighting, the mission would have been much easier to complete for sure. I can really repeat the Leszek words that this aircraft brings people home everywhere, every time. To add to this expression, a few years ago, some very experienced in the military mission ground forces soldiers told me very interesting facts about Blackhawk, that the most pleasant sound whenever they heard is Blackhawk sound. I was surprised, and I asked why. They said because this sound always brings the hope for life and coming back home. So now I remember and love this expression. It's what I can add from myself. I want to say that S-70 is my favorite and safest flying office.
Thank you, Leszek. Thanks, Wojciech. And I had to laugh when Leszek mentioned the phrase brutal landings. It kind of reminded me when I was learning to fly, and what my flying instructor used to tell me all the time about any landings that I attempted. So thanks for that. Hey, we've got, you've given us a really good overview and a very passionate one of your views of Blackhawk's suitability for Romania from a pilot's perspective. We've got lots of opportunities for questions, and we'll open the floor up to questions now. And just while we're waiting for the first question to come in, I'm wondering if one of you could maybe tell us about the differences between the maintenance requirements for a military designed helicopter like Blackhawk and a typical commercially designed helicopter, particularly when you're operating, as we've just heard, away from your base for extended periods of time. Is that an area where there are advantages, and what can you tell us about that, guys?
Yeah, that's the main difference is that the civilian aircraft usually require the hangar conditions and the good technical infrastructure. But this helicopter was designed to be maintained in the field, so you don't have to even the some platforms. You may climb on the helicopter. There are special steps in design. You may climb to the end of the tail gearbox with no tools external. So you may maintain it in the field. Open the platforms. You may open the power plant, the engines, not having any ladder, just climbing on the helicopter. That's the beauty and the simplicity of this system.
Yeah. I'd like to add that Blackhawk is equipped. The Alliance armies are equipped with Blackhawk, so whenever you are, you can get the help, get support parts. So
as a standard helicopter, yeah,
as a standard helicopter,
so easy to get the parts.
And one more, John, I don't know if you hear me, but also from a maintenance standpoint, it's got every Blackhawk that we produce has a HUM system, integrated vehicle health and usage monitoring system. So that helps the maintainers reduce the maintenance time. So it'll tell the pilots, if something's going wrong with the over 30 sensors on that Blackhawk that are on the existing Blackhawks we have. So it could predict things before they happen. So from a maintainer standpoint, it gives them time in order to buy the right parts or install the right parts or prevent some maintenance that has to happen.
Yeah, we like that system too.
Thanks, Giuseppe, for that. One question comes to me on text, actually. How does the Blackhawk compare to other helicopters in bad weather conditions? I'm guessing it's typical kind of mountainous, windy, kind of turbulent conditions, I guess.
I would say this helicopter can do more than regulation allowed to do the pilot, I would say that way. So I'm sure if the Mielec airfield is covered by fog totally. I can approach and land exactly on the runway's intersection on the normal spot without on zero visibility. That's the features that systems allows us to do. We are not allowed to do it as a because of the procedure of the but technically this helicopter is able to do it.
I'd like to have experience from the field. For instance, the chat mission, there was no prepared airfield. We had to land in that tent, you know. So when you wanted to take off, for instance, or to land, you could see nothing around the helicopter. So it was very difficult. We tried to do the best to survive and to complete the mission. I thought, well, if I had been flying back out there, so it would be much easier because flash extract is not a procedure, but always you can come to the point, to hover over the point, and I'd like to add, without touching the flight controls, Blackhawk can land itself. That's nice.
Yeah, this is a good moment to add that, of course, the helicopter is equipped with the automatic ILS approach system, so you may couple to the flight director to the radio stations at the ground on the airfield and perform fully automatic approach to the 50 feet on over the runway. So the all automatic approach will finish when the helicopter will be flying 70 knots, 50 feet above runway and along the runway. And then you have to keep the controls and decide if you land or go to the hover or go around. It's really low.
And how does that capability, sorry, I'm asking a question now. How does that capability compare to other helicopter types that you've both flown, whether they're Russian or Western types?
Yeah, actually, the whole presentation that we just made that it's much better than everything we have flown before. So yeah, we don't want to say anything bad about other helicopters, about competitors, but we still love them. Yeah, but I love Mr. Sergiej Sikorski expression words in Poland, in Kielce. He was asked the same question. He answered that all helicopters, all our competitors' helicopters are really great. But our Blackhawk S17 is still the best.
Great stuff. We've got a question from Suntem, Romania. Nemo, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. John. I have some questions, not just one. One of them, it is about the altitude limits. You have tried this helicopter somewhere between 4,000, 6,000 meters. The reactions of the motors, the engines, which are it's okay. You have the problems. You have tried on payload 1,000 kilos. Some maneuvers with at this altitude. Which is the reaction of the aircraft and the reaction of engines?
Yeah, this as regards the performance charts, they ended at 20,000. So actually, it doesn't mean that helicopter cannot fly as high, but it was not designed to it was not expected that any operational need will be to fly as high. So the calculations are ended at 20,000 feet. Yes, so it's quite high. And what can I add? Our performances are confirmed by the test, so it's not calculated. So for some customers, we have to demonstrate whatever is declared in the flight manual. They choose some points of the flight manual on this altitude. demonstrate me flight on a single engine and what the aircraft capability to fly on a single engine under that altitude condition. And we have to prove that yes, it agreed with the flight manual. So that's what we can promise you, that whatever is in the charts, this aircraft.
Yeah, the engines and the blades are preferred hot and high and hot conditions. So actually, what is in the chart? It's not proved. We can do some. We can do much more actually from the engines.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a great reserve.
Yes.
That's okay. Another question.
I can say that everything in operational manual, it's huge reserve. Because if I'm calculating the fuel, for instance, for the trip, I'm checking in a flight operation manual, and I say, hey, it's not really true because it's much less, you know, but there is a margin, huge margin in good side.
You have tried in the limit of the maximum payload to fly with him?
Yeah, to 22,000. Yeah, that is still no problem.
We have moved that. That's the difference between other aircrafts, because we had situation in military mission that we had to pick up some soldiers. We get to the hot point, and it appears that they were more soldiers. And even we had very large cabin, we couldn't take more because we didn't have so much powerful aircraft. I could take 10 or 12. That's it. I don't want to say bad about that.
Not Blackhawk.
Yes, not Blackhawk. But in Blackhawk, it's a bit different. You know that if you're a maximum payload, that doesn't mean that you have maximum limitation parameters, engine parameters. You have far away from limits that you can use whenever you want.
So you have tried to fly just with an engine?
Yes, you can hover with an engine, of course. That's for rescue, for mountain rescue, a huge advantage that if you have people on the line on the hoist and suddenly one engine fail, you still can hover.
I will tell you that it will be difficult to find a pilot who will admit it that it happened to him, but I'm sure it happened to many pilots to take off on one engine. After the checks, they forget to put the other being checked, and they just took off, and in the flight they realized, oh, we have one engine only on full power and the other on the ground radar. If it's just normal operation, full of fuel, crew, and not many cargo, it can do it. So my colleague from US said that why Blackhawk has two engines, because one is enough to fly, but the second is to make this flight more fun.
And taking off with an engine, you don't have to use max power, you know, because it's Blackhawk is very nice design. For instance, when you need the most amount of power when you are in hover, in taking off, yes. So if you, for instance, if you have limit of torque 100, so in hover up to 80 knots, you can use 120, and parameters still are green. And the same with one engine takeoff. Normally it's 100, but if one engine fails, you can use 135, for instance, and it's huge margin.
And if I could just ask a question as well, is it? I think I remember seeing in one of the documents I read that you guys can take off in a Blackhawk in severe winds up to 90 kilometers an hour or thereabouts. Is that accurate? Did I remember that correctly?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, that's 45 knots, and this aircraft doesn't care if it's the headwind or side wind from the left or right. That's 45 knots, so it's more than 80 kilometers.
But it's only limitation for startup engines, but there is no limitation for flights.
Yeah.
So it depends on you. How do you feel comfortable? You can fly that. As Leszek gave example, this helicopter flew in Katrina hurricane.
Yeah.
So they
Okay,
were
thanks.
more secure than 90 kilometers.
Thanks for that. Our friend Ion Petrescu has a question now. So Ion, over to you.
Congratulations for this debate. It was a very good idea. And I have a question about the military mission. How you can tell you, what you can tell you about Blackhawk against tanks during a fight? Blackhawk, helicopter Blackhawk against a tank. I mean against the military build special in offensive, you know. You understand the question?
Yeah.
Yes,
Because you told us about the military mission. Okay, it's good, I understand. But usually we in Romania, we think it's a very good Black Hawk to use in the fight of the country who arrive here with many tanks. You understand me, maybe?
Yes, I think I can answer, and maybe Joe, I can add something. So as I mentioned, you have on the picture, on the slide, on the presentation, you have the picture of our armored version, Black Hawk. So on the wings, you can use only three front-directed weapons. I mean, you can use, it depends on you. You can guided missile, you can use rockets, or you can use minigun, which are in the gunner's window. But if you want to use this helicopter as a support helicopter, I don't want to attack helicopter because you know it's typically dedicated attack helicopters are more armed than we are, because we don't want to be so you can direct, for instance, minigun in front direction, and all can be used by pilots. So what is more, you can put two cannons in open door. So actually, you have more gunpowder than attack helicopter. But we don't want to call our attack helicopter, but it's great. It's support helicopter. It can find with tanks normally as attack helicopter. Maybe Joe can add something.
Thank you, Wojtek. To answer your question, sir, basically the Blackhawk, the picture you see there, we have customers globally that fly the Blackhawk with weapons on them. And that picture there, and actually, it's a couple of customers have up to 16 Hellfire missiles. So think about it, 16 tanks. You can take out you can carry 16 Hellfire missiles on one payload, or you can carry up to 72 rockets, whether it be Hydra rockets, or we call them dummy rockets, or laser guided rockets on the aircraft. And as Wojtek also mentions, we can put guns on there, whether it be 50 cal or 20 millimeter cal, 20 cal, or you could put cabin crew serve weapons. And we've done that for certain customers also. So they cover also the sides of the aircraft. It does not have a turret gun, but in many cases, the threats that we do for tanks is usually at a standoff distance, that capability. And as well as, again, the ability of the Blackhawk, you could fly various different angles of embankments in order to get away from threat areas. And it's got survivability systems also, a survivability suite that you can install on the aircraft, similar to what the U.S. government has on their aircraft.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Giuseppe. We've got a few more minutes left if anyone has any additional questions. Please raise your hand or tap a note if you have. If not, what I would say is feel free to... Nemo has a question again, so we'll return back to you, Nemo.
Excuse me, but I remember a little thing about, a little thought about this ship, airship, yes. the maneuverability with payload, with grid payload. How it is between Blackhawk and Mi-6 8? 3 meters, 2 meters, more compact, more elasticity.
Yeah, maneuverability. It's extremely good if you fly the empty aircraft. Of course, like in every aircraft, if you go to the maximum takeoff weight, which is huge in this aircraft because it's really difficult to load this helicopter to the maximum takeoff weight until you don't use the external auxiliary fuel tanks, or you load the, I don't know, the LED bars inside to make it heavy. So in the extreme, of course, it will be not as maneuverable, but the pilot is equipped with the knowledge of the limits. So the time, the bank angle is the limit it's the function of the temperature of the higher you do it, and heavier you are, the angle of the bank should be limited. But it's not like I felt anytime limited by maneuvering, even in flying heavy.
We pilots, we prefer to show you that than explain, but
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
from my experience, I can tell you that there is no difference. Okay, just one. It's flying is more comfortable because the aircraft is much much heavier, so it's not so so much reaction for turbulence or bad weather. So flying is more gentle.
This is very interesting. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, one more word of the comment about the maneuvering. When you are listening to the other pilots or people who think they can they understand the construction of the other helicopters, they look at you and they try to find the weak point. The example, we are doing the air show, dynamic demonstration, and because I was sitting on the right side, I was doing all the turn to target to the right because it was more convenient to me. And on the press meeting after, I was asked, "Oh, this helicopter turns to the right because you to turn to the left." I remember from this time, every dynamic demo, I have to demonstrate one to the right, to the symmetrically, left, right. But this question that comes for the purpose, because some aircraft they are limited, really, and you may get in trouble if you may do the deep maneuver to the wrong side. I never experienced any problem doing really crazy turn to target left or right.
Dobre, panie, dobre.
Thank you very much. So I think that brings us to the end of the session today, because I know our two friends from Poland have another appointment, as I do actually, and you guys have got stories to write. So we'll bring it to an end for today. I'd just like to say thank you to Leszek and Wojciech, not just for the presentation, but also for putting up with the fact that, unlike a Blackhawk, we don't have triple redundancy in our IT systems at Lockheed Martin or anywhere else. We could do with that for sure. Thanks everyone for your time today. I hope the briefing was of interest to you. If you have any more questions, if you think about things after we end the call today, get in touch with Alex from Cook Communications. He'll make sure we have the questions, and we guarantee we'll get back to you with an answer as best we can and as quickly as we can too. We'll continue to have these briefings. I look forward to another in a couple of weeks' time, where we'll bring on board a couple of our Romanian partner companies to talk to you about how they're working with us on Blackhawk for Romania. I really do appreciate your time today. We're open, we're transparent, we're available, so please come to us at any time if you have any questions. Have a great rest of the day. Leszek, Wojciech, thank you very much for your time. Same to you, Giuseppe, in the US. Have a great day, and thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.